Sit back and enjoy 300 miles. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series, live from Las Vegas on FS1. Here we go.
Already 4 wide for a moment into one. These guys are ready to go today, and they were able to sort it out. We're still 3 wide. But that, that's part of this front stretch. It's a long way to turn 1 from the restart zone, and you got that apron down there. So you'll see guys a lot. That's really tight racing. Lay back and get good restarts, and that's a pretty big trend here.
Nemechek trapped in the middle, crossover move on the 21, and now for the spot up in front of them. This is for second. Justin Allgaier going inside of Brett Moffitt. Chandler Smith jumps out to the early lead.
Really impressed with Brett Moffitt and his particular team, and I think Brett's kind of he kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, but it seems like he always pops up, and he always, no matter what he's driving, can find a way to be competitive. So it's great to see him up front.
Yeah, I mean, we always kind of think of him as an underdog as we watch Kyle Busch driving through the field, the exact opposite of an underdog. But what makes Brett Moffitt impressive, this is a brand new race team. Now, they do have an alliance with Stuart Haas. There goes one. Parker Kligerman sliding. That'll bring out our first caution of the day. And that might be a trend that picks up off the spring race here a year ago. We had 11 cautions in the spring, only 3 in the fall, and 2 of those were for stage-in. So hopefully we can find our rhythm here early.
We always talk about the Xfinity guys having very limited tires. If you have an early spin like this, it already puts you in the hole. This seems to be, he might have got some help.
Nemechek in the 20, and a little bit of a kiss.
Yeah, and I just wonder how much John Hunter was a little bit frustrated by the beginning laps over there when he felt like Parker might have squeezed him in the middle over here in 3 and 4. So
Kligerman running full time in the 48 for Big Machine and didn't have the finish he wanted at Daytona. Comes back last week, finishes inside the top 10. Great qualifying run today. Was running 5th when he got turned around off the corner. As we go on board with Sammy Smith, he had a front row seat.
He and Sam Mayer did a great job. Missing him.
We don't anticipate any pit stops with a caution this early, so we'll step aside. 4 laps in, Chandler Smith leading Allgaier, Moffitt, Hill, and Hemrick. We're live in Vegas. Getting set for the restart here in Las Vegas. You see we have some big movers early. These are the drivers that started in the rear. This caution, huge for them to close that gap, Kevin.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't really realize this is a game of time, and we always talk about how hard our cars are to pass sometimes and this and that. But when you can get that, when you start in the back and you can get a caution and you can close that distance back up and have another restart to get another chunk of them right on a restart while you're close to the leader, you can stay closer to the leader. So huge gift for those guys in closing that gap up early.
And not a gift for Chandler Smith, who had gained the lead, was just out there on a Saturday drive, and boom, I have to do another restart next to Justin Allgaier. Once again, Smith takes the outside lane. We're just underway. An early caution and already a restart here in Las Vegas.
I'm sure it'll be calm.
They always are here,
yeah.
Right? Said with plenty of sarcasm. Well, Nemechek kind of getting in the middle there again. Riley Herbst in the 98 trying to get to his outside. Moffitt falling back. Allgaier looks good in the inside lane.
Allgaier just about had the 16 clear off of 2, and he was able to drag him back to 16 was. And now Allgaier was kind of in a tough spot. He didn't have a lot of forward momentum going into 3, and he was kind of losing ground. And the 16 did a great job of sending it in there and being able to clear again for the lead.
How big is this, Kevin? Young driver learning through experience early and doing it with success in Chandler Smith.
Well, you have to take those reps and coming to the green flag and doing the restarts and being able to know how much throttle to put down and where to put your car on the racetrack. In order to learn it, you have to do it. But I can tell you there's a lot of young guys that have had success, but Chandler Smith is actually in that position to get those reps. And so that's hard to do in itself. So he's doing a great job against an old pro behind him in Justin Allgaier.
You know who the old pro is here? Josh Berry. I mean,
Brett
from the
Moffitt
back.
Brett Moffitt's getting used up. I'm sorry. Brett Moffitt's getting used up the last lap or so. He had 98 all over his left rear quarter panel the lap before, lost a couple spots. Just then, he about hit the wall again with the 98 all over his rear bumper. So he's had his hands full. But yes, Josh Berry's doing a good job coming from the back.
Hey, and so is Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
You know, he qualified 14th. They weren't happy with that, but here he is in the top 10. And there is the aforementioned Josh Berry, already knocking on the door of the top 10, racing Tyler Reddick in the 24.
And we've seen the junior motorsports cars be fast here. You know, I mean, I feel like the last few years they've been really good and contending for the win and always being in it and winning a handful of those races as well. So I would look to see, you know, those guys will be really strong, especially Berry and Mayer coming from the back and already making the gains that they've made. That shows that those cars are really fast.
Talk about junior motorsports. Joe Gibbs Racing been good here as well. Won this race a season ago with Ty Gibbs.
See Parker Kligerman shoot by on the outside there.
Yeah, he made a pit stop, got the tires, and trying to rally back from that early spin.
You know, the bad thing was when he spun, it was lap 3. So those guys didn't really have any laps. So it's not like he's at a big tire advantage right now. He's on stickers, but it's not like if these guys had 20 laps, then he could maybe make up for what happened. So it's going to be a lot harder here.
How about that pole sitter, Regan?
Adam, it's been a great start for Chandler Smith, and this was a big key to him. He told me that race car was really loose in practice yesterday until they got a few laps into the run. Felt like if they could get the clean air, keep him out front, the further they went into the run, the better that car was going to be for him today. Right now, smooth sailing, just a little bit on the splitter, too much for Chandler.
And let's not forget, 1 year ago here, Chandler beat the boss man, Kyle Busch, to win in the Craftsman Truck Series. So he has experience, not just here at Las Vegas, but he's won and he beat the best. So he understands what it's all about. And he's got a pretty good one behind him right now, being dogged by the 7 of Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, I don't like how Chandler Smith's car is not on that white line. And you see Justin Allgaier taking advantage of that. He was right on that white line, and I feel like there's always grip down there, no matter which end of the racetrack that you're on. And Justin, you could tell that he does everything he can do to put his left front tire right on that white line to take advantage of that grip.
Isn't that what we called Harvicking at Atlanta forever?
It's very similar, especially 3 and 4. Being on the bottom of the racetrack and hooking that white line in 3 and 4 here is very similar.
Berry racing by Mayer, put the 8 in the 8th position as we look at the pass for the lead.
This was a big side draft. It's about as hard a side draft as you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if, Chandler got passed by Justin. Justin really hasn't pulled away from him. So, try to learn a little bit. Chandler's moved up the racetrack. That middle lane, or that lane up that he's running, that's a pretty good lane. I've always enjoyed running there. Splitting the seam of the first and second lanes kind of de-wedges the car, helps you turn a little bit. So, especially in 1 and 2, 3 and 4, I feel like it's still you got to be on the bottom. But it's a good time for Chandler to kind of learn about what's Justin doing to maybe where this car does better. What does mine do better or worse, and get a thought for here when we have pit stops in 30 laps or so.
Talked about Josh Berry making his move through the field. Not far behind him, Kyle Busch from the back. He is 12th right now, driving the 10 car for Kaulig. And that car has had a lot of speed the last couple of weeks. It's the all-star car over there. Justin Haley, top 10 at Daytona. It was wounded last week when Austin Dillon brought it back for a top 10 finish in Fontana, California. Kyle going to be driving it again next weekend in Phoenix. AJ Allmendinger gets behind the wheel at COTA. A good host of drivers that have Cup experience, winning at the top level, going to be driving the 10. It's fast again today. Last week we talked so much about debris on the grill, and we got a report that maybe that's the situation here for the guy in second, Chandler Smith. Listen in.
65. All right, copy. If you got to get behind somebody, that's what we got to do. Gate and third red. 10-4, it's climbing. Let's back up to the 20, get in line behind him.
How hard is it to do that? I've always thought that was a tough thing to do.
Well, it depends on how fast the temperature is going up. And if the engine won't run and you let it go too far and it starts spraying water out of the thing, then you're in big trouble. So sometimes you have to minimize the damage, and you have to be smart about taking care of the car and doing what you have to do. So it just depends on how fast those temps are going up as to how desperate he is.
Kyle Busch up to 11th now, Josh, as we get a pass for second.
Yeah, and Kyle Busch just came over the radio and said car's starting to free up on him. He's made a ton of moves. We know he started from the back of the field, already making a move up the board. And the big thing for Kaulig and Kyle Busch in these cars is he told the team he'll be able to give them a baseline of what they need. So not just going for wins, but helping the team get better and better. That is the big thing about having Kyle Busch in that car this week and next.
And he will give an honest evaluation, right? I mean, he is not going to short anybody on his knowledge. And we look up in front of him, second place right now, John Hunter Nemechek. Nice move he made to get around Chandler Smith.
And you haven't seen the debris go away on the 16 car yet.
Yep.
So he wasn't able to get in behind him and get that debris to come off. So you've seen the 16 kind of not running the bottom, especially in 3-4. He tried. I mean, I cannot believe it didn't come off right there. But yeah, he's still got that issue. I mean, if the temperature's still rising, he's still got trash. He needs to try it again.
Well, the tough thing is, I mean, you got 25 laps to go in this stage. I mean, we might get another caution between now and then, but if you don't, that's a long way to go if that thing's heating up. For 11th, Moffitt and Tyler Reddick.
Reddick's someone I think is going to be at the wall before anybody else. It's just kind of the way he is, and always searching around. You saw Kyle Busch start running the third lane or so in 3 and 4. You see Reddick up there, and I expect this track to widen out here to where they get up in that top lane before too long.
And it's another reason that I love this particular series. Tyler Reddick and another team that can use his feedback, and we saw Richard Childress Racing do that last year with the 48 car and Tyler Reddick, and trying to get his feedback on where the car was. So Cup drivers, they race a lot and they've had a lot of experience, and they can give that valuable feedback as to what you need to work on for the team.
Austin Hill by Chandler Smith for third, and now the top spot on the line. John Hunter Nemechek, quiet early, working his way through the field, and he will take over the top spot inside of Justin Allgaier. The man that won last week is now on point in Las Vegas. The 20 car serving notice early this year. We came to play.
Well, these are strong racetracks for those Joe Gibbs Racing cars, and when you come to Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Xfinity Series, for a long time, it's those guys have made a lot of speed, especially on the long runs.
Yeah,
as they get going.
That's something that's always stood out to me between their cars. Here, Fontana, their long run speed is just unbelievable, and it's definitely shown today. He just slowly picked away at the 7 car and looking to drive away.
Halfway home in stage one, John Hunter Nemechek, the new leader. Third different driver to be out front today. It's good to have you with us. Fox NASCAR from Las Vegas. Just over 15 laps remaining. Opening stage for the NASCAR Xfinity Series in Las Vegas. The race leader, John Hunter Nemechek, led the most laps in one last Sunday evening in Fontana, California. He's been out front for 7 circuits here today. You look at his history. Raced full-time in the Xfinity cars 2019, 7th in points, did get a win. 2020 moves to Cup, didn't go his way. So he said, I want to win races. Joins Kyle Busch Motorsports, and he did that. 2021, 2022, now he's back in an Xfinity car, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. The results have been great so far in 2023, nearly won Daytona. He got the victory last week, and leading here today. You know, it takes me to his dad, Joe, won here at Las Vegas 20 years ago in an Xfinity car, 2003. Any idea who finished second in that race?
I do not. I mean, I'm going to give, I guess I could guess, maybe.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah. Here's the thing I love about John Hunter Nemechek. He's 25 years old, and he's had all that experience and everything that he's raced in and been a part of. He's got a racing pedigree with his family and his dad being so successful, especially in this particular series. But the thing that I love about what Toyota does with their young drivers is they're so loyal to them, and they bring them up and they give them time and they push them all the way through the trucks and Xfinity series. And you've seen all the things that changed with Kyle, going from Toyota to Chevrolet, and all the different opportunities that the two manufacturers created in order to have this competition that's brewing this year amongst the two of them with all the changes in the drivers.
Well, we talk about the success for Joe Gibbs Racing. One of the drivers that won a title for them, Daniel Hemrick, is up inside the top 5 and looking good so far in today's race. So we go since the restart, right? We had that early caution, and the guy that no doubt has dominated in the category of biggest mover since we returned to the green flag is the guy that brought out the caution, and that would be Parker Kligerman. Restarts in the back. He's worked his way to the top 15. So, I mean, he's obviously got a pretty good race car. plus 22.
He's been moving up the racetrack, and trying to find some fresh grip. I've been watching up here, and it's been a good amount of guys trying to move up and up, and he's definitely been one of them. Trying to get some cleaner racetracks. So we'll watch his progress for sure.
One driver that hasn't moved up as much throughout the field as we thought, this guy, Cole Custer. He's 17th right now. What's up there, Josh?
Yeah, going into the race, Cole Custer told me Vegas is a place he doesn't really like to come to. Well, right now he came over the radio and said, I'm ungodly free, and I'm starting to lose the right front. So some trouble for Cole Custer as he tries to make moves like the rest of the guys that started in the back.
I love that forward onboard camera, the driver's eye.
Yeah, and that free here is terrible because it just gets on that right rear tire and you start sliding around, and there's really nothing that you can do but just slow down. And you try to run high, and it's just too free to run all the throttle up there, and you try to run low, and you just got to go slower in order to put the car on the right part of the racetrack. So really free is a tough spot to be in here.
And, him running, he's running essentially the fence. He gets really close to it in the center and kind of pulls off of it, and he's doing that to try to help, save his right rear tire. But it takes such commitment to run the top. There's so much more on throttle time up there. You have to fully commit to it to make it work. And that's what's even worse. If you're already holding on loose, that's just, he's got his hands full. So I bet he's really excited for 10 more laps to try to finally work on it.
I'm curious to see what happens with the 16 because they were working to get that debris off. He's 4th right now. Things have stabilized, 10 to go in the stage, and I'm not sure if there could have been any overheating or any damage done to that engine. But if that's the case, and his day could be short-lived, you want to get to the end of the stage and get some stage points, because if you have to retire early, you want to have something to show for a pole run here at Las Vegas.
Well, he's definitely stabilized, and when we started hearing that he was talking about his car being loose in practice yesterday, I was like, oh man, where is this going to go? But his times have stabilized pretty good, and he's kind of fell into a spot here and just clicking off laps.
You know who we haven't said a lot about today, but is performing once again? 3rd place, Austin Hill, Regan.
Adam, great start for Austin Hill, and a lot of speed in the middle to the end of this run out of that 21 car. That is something this team focused on coming here this weekend. They had highlighted not only last week at California, but going back to last season, they felt like their speed was too much on the front side of runs. Changed some stuff up for today to try and transition where the speed and the runs were to being later on older tires, and it's working right now. Just a little too tight in turns 3 and 4 when he's behind guys right now.
Yeah, these top 3 guys, Nemechek, Allgaier, and Hill, they've separated themselves from the field by a long ways. There's almost 6 seconds in front of 4th. And, the 20, he hasn't really pulled away. He's starting to kind of gain a little bit of a gap here. But these 3 cars, for sure early, are establishing themselves as the best 3 right now.
And really, not just today, but this season. We gave the numbers for Nemechek. Austin Hill wins Daytona, 6 last week, a pair of 3rds for Justin Allgaier. I feel like every year we work ourselves into the big 3 in the Xfinity Series. I know that might be premature, but those 3 certainly doing it not just today, but on the balance of the season. As Sammy Smith tries to get by Josh Berry here, that's the battle for 7.
This has been a heck of a battle between Sammy Smith, Josh Berry, and Kyle Busch is creeping into this picture as well. So this might be a case where, Josh kind of moved up early and his stuff might be hurting a little bit, having to come from the back. He went up there and passed the 18, and then the 18 just passed him back. So his car might be fading a little bit, and Kyle Busch's car seems to be the best over the long run out of the guys who had to come from the back. He passed the 1, he's about to pass the 8.
There's Busch inside of Berry. 2 drivers that will run Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Berry filling in for Chase Elliott tomorrow. Kyle Busch doing the triple and trying to sweep the triple weekend for the 3rd time in his career. Did it 2010, 2017 at Bristol, winning trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. He won in the Craftsman Truck Series last night live on FS1. We were talking about Cole Custer and his struggles today. How about his teammate? The hometown hero, Riley Herbst, is 5th, and as good a run as we've seen him have here at Las Vegas. This has not been one of his better tracks, but he's performing this afternoon.
Well, he puts a lot of pressure on himself to run well here, growing up here, and obviously, with Monster on the car and the family business and everything that they have in Las Vegas, it can be a difficult thing to manage because of the fact that you have so many things different throughout the weekend than you would on a normal race weekend with all the people around. So Riley's done a good job, qualified decent. I think last year he spun out in qualifying and had to work his way from the back, and this year just a steady start, and he's doing a great job.
And one of 4 drivers to record a top 10 in both races this year. We talked about the 3 guys up front, Riley Herbst on that list as well. Down to 3 laps to go, stage 1.
There we go. Austin Hill finally got to the inside of the 7. It's a tough pass to complete down on the very bottom, especially with laps on your tires in 1 and 2. 7 just kind of pinned him down there, and he had a lap car in front of him. He was probably did all that work for the last 15 laps to get alongside Justin, and then just wasn't able to really, make any kind of charge to get by him.
As we hit a couple of laps to go in the stage, look at that scoring pylon. Everybody in the top 10 going to get stage points here, and that is significant as you go throughout the balance of the season and you try to make the playoffs and win a championship. A number of guys that started in the rear now have put themselves in a spot to get points. Sheldon Creed in a backup car is up to 9th. We've talked about Josh Berry, so a really good job by those drivers to maximize the early stint of this race.
Well, I think it's at that point of the run where Sheldon can move up the racetrack, and he does a really good job when he can run that high line. He's found the groove that works for him at the top.
Final lap, stage 1.
I know the 20 car, he's looked the best, got the lead, drove away. Really curious to see where the 10 is going to be, where the 8, the 1, where they're going to be having to come from the back, use up a lot of their tires, right? I mean, you're using your tires up like crazy. So it'd be nice to get a reset here, get some new tires on, and get some adjustments, and see if they can put anything, kind of charge for this 20, because he's stage 1, dominant car.
Nemechek second at Daytona, wins California, and wins the opening stage here at Las Vegas. His first stage victory of the year, and his first in Sin City. Allgaier comes through in second. Austin Hill is third. Our pole sitter Chandler Smith, 4th in stage 1. Riley Herbst gets 6 points for finishing 5th. Other drivers getting points: Hemrick, Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, Josh Berry doing it from the back. Nemechek strong early in Vegas. Tonight it's primetime hoops on Fox. Catch Big East Player of the Year favorite Adam Sanogo as he leads 14th ranked UConn in a conference battle against Villanova. It all tips off 7 Eastern on Fox. I know who Josh Sims is rooting for. Yeah, go Wildcats, right, Josh? Come on, give me a little. There you go. We had to do it to you. All right, pit stops coming here. See if John Hunter Nemechek can deliver after leading 25 laps in the opening stage. And this is where you can really make a difference. Scheduled stops into stage 1. Here they are, Josh.
Yeah, and let's start with the 8 of Josh Berry, a 2-time winner here at Vegas. Started 31st in this race, has worked his way up into the top 10, saying he was getting just a little too tight, so they're going to make an adjustment to free him up. Moving on to the 10 of Kyle Busch, also a guy that's been free all weekend long, still a little too free, so they're going to help him out with a track bar adjustment, Regan.
Justin Allgaier in the 7 car, very steady at the start of this race right now. At the end of the run, though, too tight across the front end. And the 20 car, John Hunter Nemechek, struggling to hold the lines in turns 1 and 2 as much as he wants to, meaning he can't keep it down on the line for the corner exit. In the middle of the corner, he loses the front too much.
Race off pit road. And this time it's going to go to Austin Hill at number 1 pit stall. You pick pits based on where you qualify the week before, +2 for Hill. Nemechek and Allgaier lose a spot, and a tire in the infield grass is not going to be good for someone. Kyle Busch +3, so great effort by the Colleague team on pit road. In a case of the rich getting richer, we know how good Kyle is, and gaining him positions on the pit lane could be a big advantage as we go racing in stage 2.
I think that was Alex LeBay's tire.
Okay.
I believe so. He'll have to come back. He was doing a great job.
Yeah.
He was on lead lap.
Let's hear from our stage 1 winner, John Hunter Nemechek.
Good. Hey, John Hunter, Kevin Harvick up in the Fox booth. Looks like your car is pretty good out there. I love the way that it wraps that line all the way across the bottom in 3 and 4. What do you think, and what can you do better?
Yeah, just taking a page out of your notebook, Harv, from Atlanta. The wind is definitely playing a factor into that. It wraps really good. Ben and all the guys on the 20 team did a really good job. Toyota GR Supra is as fast as Xfinity 10Gs. So hopefully we can keep it up front all day, make the right calls, stay on top of the racetrack, and just keep this thing turning all day.
10-4, man. Thanks for talking to us and looking good out there.
Appreciate it.
You see Harvick swell up when he said, "I'm just doing my best." Harvick from Atlanta over there. I mean, he's feeling good about himself.
You know, Blaney and I were talking about it, and his car does wrap the line really well.
Hey, it's a dangerous place on pit road. Tire getting away. Stage 2 is coming out. Look out. Ooh.
Something people would be surprised to know about me is I used to play, when I was in the single digit age, electric guitar for a Kiss cover band, full makeup. Believe it or not. I was like 8 years old, rocking it.
I went to high school with Taylor Swift. That's a good one. I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie, but I mean, I don't mind her. I'm okay with it.
Some people might be surprised that I actually pole vaulted in high school. Pretty much just did it to get out of PE, but it was a cool thing to do.
There is so much to unpack there.
I don't even know where to start.
I don't know what's more impressive, the pole vaulting or the full makeup Kiss cover band.
Well, Josh Berry didn't know about Taylor Swift. He does know about Taylor Swift because he knew that they were called Swifties. So
that's true.
There's a little more there.
I wonder if she wrote a song about him. I wonder if one of her songs is about
like
Josh Berry in high school. Yeah.
We mentioned off the top, number of drivers and backup cars had to drop to the rear. One of those was Cole Custer, Josh Berry on that list as well. And you can see their progress today. Best of the bunch, Kyle Busch at plus 29. And some of that because they had a tremendous pit stop. Now, I saw the lights are on a pace car, so we're not going to go green this time around, although we have gone through the choose process. And Austin Hill said, give me the outside lane. So we'll go one more lap here.
Yeah, someone we didn't really touch on much as we got a car stalled in the bottom of 1 and 2 was Brandon Jones. You know, he was second on the biggest mover list, had to start in the back, he was up to 10th, you know, and that, you know, Junior Motorsports stable car, you know, and he's always run really well here, and I feel like he might have something today. It's another guy who's able to reset, kind of go back at it.
Yeah, you mentioned the 35, Joey Gase going to get a push. That was the reason that we didn't get to restart that time around, so we'll do it next time, and that gives us an opportunity to pay off points in stage 1. John Hunter Nemechek with a playoff point for winning the stage and gets those 10 stage points, and you see how it falls out behind him. You know, Kyle Busch running obviously for cup points, so he's not going to get any points here in the Xfinity Series. Some other drivers, though, really taking advantage in the early portion of the race, despite the fact they had to start deep in the field. Here's some 10 radio.
The roof blow off, or did you take it down? Scared to death it was going to blow off, so we took it down. We look like, you know who we look like? We look like Dukes of Hazzard. You remember when the roof got took off the sheriff's car? Jerry, hold the hat.
Oh, man. There's never a dull moment with Chris Rice.
No, ever.
Team manager. But those guys they're always having fun, and I think that's just the colleague environment that Chris creates. But if Kyle's going to keep driving this LA golf car, we've seen pole vaulters, we've seen. I want to see Kyle Busch's golf swing. If you're going to drive the LA golf car, I want to see video of Kyle Busch's golf swing. What do you think, Adam?
Well, why do I immediately think of Bill Murray and Caddyshack when you say you want to see Kyle Busch's golf swing?
You can't drive the LA golf car and not show us your golf swing.
How about the three of us invite Kyle? That would be a nice foursome.
He might show up and just be a scratch golfer. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Something tells me we'd all need to bring a dozen balls for Kyle if we wouldn't play. Restart to begin the second stage. Leader outside, Austin Hill.
Kyle was able to give a really good shove to the 20, and the 20 is going to clear him. Okay, I thought the 21 was going to be able to hang on his quarter panel, but the 20 was able to get clear to the lead from a great push, by Kyle Busch.
What about Chandler Smith in the 16? I mean, just shot out of a cannon, made it 3 wide, and he's going to try to get up to the 3rd position.
Kyle was surrounded by all his ex-drivers. John Hunter drove for him. The 16 took him 3 wide. He's just having a little reunion.
Well, he can't get away from Chandler. I mean, he was his boss, and now he's his teammate. The 10 and 16 side by side for 4th. Allgaier jumps up to 2nd in front of Austin Hill. And now Allgaier looking for the lead. Crew Chief Jim Pohlman might have made a change on the 7. Bright red Brandt Chevrolet's got it going on early in stage 2.
Gosh, and you saw that middle, Kevin, you touched on it earlier. The middle gets to be kind of no man's land in 3 and 4, and the 7 was able to get to the outside of the 20 in 1 and 2 run in the middle, which is really strong in 1 and 2. But 3 and 4, you saw his car just completely lost all grip as Chandler is just taking everybody 3 wide. He's aggressive, and I like that from a rookie.
Well, we're getting ready to find out how the middle is for him here shortly as he goes in. Luckily, he clears that 21 early in the corner, and he didn't have to run the dead middle because, like you say, I'm not a fan of the middle right now. You either need to all the way on the bottom and on the or all the way against the top in 3 and 4.
I mean, these young kids, though, no fear, right? I mean, we talk about Chandler Smith, who's 20. Sammy Smith, driving the 18, is 18. Hasn't even graduated high school, and he just puts his nose wherever he needs to. We're on board here. It's the Toyota onboard camera.
2 to 3 wide.
That was a big run by the 10 car on the top of 1 and 2.
2 wide,
He
here we are
moved
by
up to the
3.
third lane, and he's doing it again
keep
here
working that middle. It'll
in
be
3
open.
and 4. He had some reps with it. You know, he kind of was up there a little bit in the first stage, and it's giving him a big run. So his car seems to be working as it goes up the racetrack.
99 is Garrett Smithley. That's him on track. He since has brought it down the pit lane, driving for B.J. McLeod. Told me that this morning, I didn't think I had a chance to make it into the field yesterday. He goes out, he's able to make the show qualifying, but unfortunately, early problems for him as he makes his first start of the year. Side by side for the third position. Make it fourth back there. You got Kyle Busch, Austin Hill, Sammy Smith.
By 3 to the 21.
Something that's been a trend, you know, in short runs is the 16 car is really fast in short runs. You know, obviously sitting on the pole, was able to hold the lead there for a couple restarts early in the race. Looks really fast again on this restart. So I'll be curious to see if they got the long run a little better on that car, because it seems to have the great short run speed, but struggles a little bit getting going, or on the long run, sorry.
What do you think about Josh Berry here, Kevin? Outside the top 10, I mean, they made up all that ground early, and now things maybe not where he would want them to be.
Well, I think Ryan hit on that earlier. I think the top of that racetrack was a little bit cleaner than it probably is now. And I think as you go into the race and it gets rubbered up, you have to start making your car work, and you don't have that crutch of being able to lean on the gray racetrack up there and make the car turn and do the things that you need to do. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're fighting, but I know when those cars are super fast, they can run the top and be able to get going on the bottom early in the run.
What about Josh? Josh Sims on Josh Berry.
Yeah, and you'll hear a different voice on the radio in terms of a spotter for Josh Berry. His normal spotter, TJ Majors, is out with an illness today, so Josh Williams is spotting for Josh Berry today. And, of course, TJ Majors spots on the Cup side, so Brian Keselowski is going to spot for Brad Keselowski tomorrow. Regan?
Keep an eye on the leader, John Hunter Nemechek. Just came on the radio a lap ago, said, did we get them all tight? A little concern, possible vibration for that race car. The crew guys immediately all gave a thumbs up, and be sure, crew chief told John Hunter they think that they're all good right now.
And I would call that pretty typical for Vegas. I don't know how many times I've said that on the radio, because of the fact that you come to pit road and the rotors hadn't been used, and then you change the tires or whatever it is. I don't know, but it seems very typical for Vegas to have that vibration.
All right, we were talking a little bit about Josh Berry, and he's got his hands full here. Outside the top 10, scored in the 13th position. Watch him in that 8 car. Woo, that was close coming off the corner. Middle point of stage 2 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney. I'm Adam Alexander. Your race leader is John Hunter Nemechek. Let's take a look at our Toyota top performers. And he leads the list. Won stage 1, Sammy Smith from 14th to 7th. C. Reddick, Joe Graff Jr. making his second start for Joe Gibbs Racing just inside the top 20. And Kaz Grala coming off a top 15 last week. Driving that 26 car for Sam Hunt Racing is 20th right now. Let's go back and listen in on 20 team radio because he continues to fight thinking maybe a loose wheel there.
Feeling vibrations, that feels like a right rear. Okay, 10-4.
That's the worst. And as a driver, you have kind of this mental process that you have to fight through, and you have to be the one that says, okay, is the vibration the same or is it getting worse? If it stays the same, it's fine. If you go in the corner and when the car loads up and it starts to get more harsh, every time you go in there, the wheel's coming loose. If you go in there and it's consistent, then you can keep going. It's still not comfortable, but right now he's fighting with himself mentally to try to decide, is it getting worse or is it staying the same?
Because the last thing you want to do as a driver is think you have a loose wheel, come in, and they say it was tight.
Yeah.
You know, and that's on you as a driver, you know. But his car's been moving all around the racetrack. You know, he's missing the bottom of 3 and 4. Something tells me that whatever is going on, loose wheel or not, it's not entirely comfortable to him right now.
And it's not comfortable. There is nothing comfortable about thinking you have a loose wheel.
Look at the difference in lines here. I mean, the top 2 run the white line. Allgaier in the 7 runs up top in 3 and 4, and Kyle Busch followed him right through. And then Allgaier swings back down to the apron at the start-finish line. So intriguing to me to watch these guys manipulate and take advantage of the options as we have a battle for the lead. Chandler Smith driving down to the inside of John Hunter Nemechek.
Quarter. Be stalling you out here.
I'm impressed, guys.
Oh, hey.
Chandler Smith, I mean, he's done a fabulous job, and I really thought that he would lose track position and go backwards, honestly, because his car qualified so fast. So he's doing a great job, and he's been on the gas on the restarts and in the long run.
Back to Josh Berry. We showed you going to break, and
a little tap.
There's another iteration of him visiting with the wall.
Looked like they had contact with the car behind him there. As he came up, he got the right rear quarter panel and it kind of snapped it to the right.
Riley Herbst, top 5, stage 1, now racing for that 10th position with Berry, and just behind them, Brett Moffitt, who's making a good comeback. Qualified in the top 5, drifted early, but now he's knocking on the door of the top 10, and there goes Berry. Hang on to it.
Lock it down, lock it down, lock it down.
Yeah, you know, we saw him get loose when we went to break off of 2. We saw him tag the wall a little bit there. Didn't look like a bunch of damage, but it seemed like he had his hands full. And right there, he had a car tight to his outside. He kind of lost the line and was at that point of, I'm going to hit this guy, and he ended up just spinning it out. So got away with it, you know, no damage, just they would have come in and try to get their car tightened up because he looked like he had his hands full. And a potential break for the 20 who might have had a loose wheel.
Well, and the other thing, Ryan, as we look across the racetrack, you know, that is, the cars just tend to get loose right there. It's like they go to the transition of the banking and there's some bumps right there. And if you get off the bottom and up the racetrack, the car gets light anyway. And that just took it was side by side, took a little air off the back of the car and just lost it there. But the one thing I am noticing on the backstretch too, the wind is shifted directions right towards turn 4.
Yeah, that makes it worse, right? What his situation was, you got heavy wind hitting you in the left side door, pushing you up the racetrack. You have a car to your outside, so you can't use all the racetrack. So he was in a tough spot.
I love when you talk science. On board with Cole Custer.
I'm never going to be able to think of Cole Custer the same after I saw him pole vaulting.
Pit road is open, and Josh Berry going to go ahead and come down. Obviously had to with the spin. We'll see if anybody follows suit. I would anticipate not with this many laps to go in the stage. Sometimes you'll flip it, but probably a little bit too early to try that strategy.
Yeah, you know, I think tires fall off too much. You know, I mean, the 20's going to come down, so he must think he, you know, definitely had a problem, so they're going to come fix it.
The 8's been in, 20 coming in as well. Let's follow up with Regan Smith.
Well, and we mentioned and documented the fact that he felt like he had a loose tire. That's ultimately what brought them down pit road right here. Better to play it safe than to have an issue. What they are going to do, they just about 5 minutes ago glued up the scuff tires that they took off the car on the first run. They are going to put those tires on it to get through to the end of this stage. That way they're not at a deficit tire-wise as it gets down to the end of this race.
So you basically give up any opportunity to get stage points here in stage 2 by this strategy, but you save that set of tires so you're in balance with everybody else, and you still got a chance for a late rally. Caution out for the 3rd time today, courtesy of the aid of Josh Berry. Hey, tomorrow the NASCAR Cup Series rolls into Vegas. And the stars of NASCAR on the big board, including this week. Now, Kevin, I'm really
Hey, Kevin,
sorry.
how about you aren't on the promo?
That's what happens when you get old.
See, here's the deal. We're just already welcoming him to the family. We just assume Kevin doesn't need that promotion like you do. We got you.
You know, he's been around for a long time, so he's already known. I need all the exposure I can get.
All right, take it. Take it while you can get it. I like this shot. They call this a working camera. Does this work?
Okay. We didn't have you on a promo, but you've got your own page.
Most West Coast wins by active driver. We're doing fine. We need to add another one at some point.
It needs to be just you on the Phoenix promo since you won there 9 times. How many did you win in a row there?
We won a lot there.
5 or 6 in a row or something?
Yeah.
Do you really not know? I feel like we keep asking you questions today about your stat line.
Terrible.
Rodney knows. I guarantee you Rodney knows how many it was. Here we go. Restart with just under 15 to go, stage 2. Chandler Smith outside of Justin Allgaier. Look at that push from Kyle Busch on his teammate.
Sammy Smith in the 1 kind of got into it in 1, and then Mayer's lost all his momentum. Now he's going to be middle of 3. He did not have a very good restart.
Yeah, and on these used tires, the middle of 3 is not going to be that much fun.
This battle for the lead is great. Does Allgaier finally have him? Slides up in front of him, all clear. 7 on point with 11 to go in the stage.
And the 7 did a great job of not overdriving 3 and 4. You know, he had the 16 tight on his right rear quarter panel, and the 7 just put it on the line and was able to get back to the gas and get cleared.
And that's just another lesson for Chandler, right? You know, because you have to figure out these restarts and how hard you can push it on used tires. You've done it on new tires, but now you're having to do it on used tires, and it becomes a little bit different. You have to be patient.
Watch the 18 of Sammy Smith, bottom of your screen.
Yeah, he got into the back of the 1 there. He was just up to that quarter panel, and Sam tried to block it a little bit, and they kind of got tangled up, and the 18 got a little bit loose.
The 2 teenagers got connected on the restart, and neither benefiting. The other teenager in second right now, Chandler Smith behind Allgaier, Hill, Busch, and Brandon Jones, your top 5.
A pass-through up there. Make sure you got your switch. I'll let you know when I see him pinning.
Wow. Restart violation on the 7 of Justin Allgaier. That was the audio we were hearing.
We'll have to see a replay of that, because I didn't think it was anything egregious. I mean, maybe I missed it, but.
Well, we got word that the restart was under review. What do you evaluate here?
He might have launched a split second before the 16, but
man, I didn't see much there.
No, like he was still behind him when he went into 1, so that kind of surprised me a little bit.
I'd love to get some more definition on what the ruling was.
Regan, what's up?
Adam, the report from the team to Justin Allgaier was that he went below the line before the start-finish line. You got to keep your left side tires above that line. He went down too soon.
This is his 18th race here. First time he's ever been penalized at Las Vegas.
Well, that's a great reminder for all of us, because you know you wind up being able to go wherever you want after the start-finish line, and it's so open that you forget, and just a little bit below that white line on the bottom is a penalty. You can't do that before the start-finish line. Everything has to stay above that white line.
Good news for him, 7 to go on the stage. So he does the pass-through. He's exited the pit lane. He's going to stay on the lead lap. And he'll keep himself in the game. And don't forget, last week finished 3rd at Fontana after an unscheduled green flag pit stop where he got a lap down, got the free pass, and then eventually comes back to finish inside the top 5. Chandler Smith, the new leader, in front of Austin Hill as we check in one more time with radio from Justin Allgaier.
Tell them if they want to penalize people, watch the games on restarts. That's all I can tell you.
Listen, we're not even halfway yet. We'll get it all back. Just keep a good head.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, that's just frustrated driver, right? Yeah, well, let's just see what it looks like before I say what I'm going to say here. Yeah, and look, these are the black and white rules.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason to give any gray on these types of rules, because they're easy to officiate, and as a driver, that makes us easy to know. And to me, it's just, you forget about stuff like that until you get in these situations and it happens to somebody that's actually even the rules. So it's you know, that's a tough penalty, and I know Justin is frustrated, but easy call for NASCAR.
You know, you were talking earlier, Kevin, about what a rhythm place this is. I feel like, you know, a handful of times Allgaier swing off of 4 and drop down to the apron. It's almost like a habit to go down there for him. And speaking of going to the apron, for the lead, Austin Hill takes the top spot away from Chandler Smith. 4 laps to go, stage 2, and the 21 has found his way to the top spot.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah.
Calling that apron like that.
Yeah. The 21 showing up, the 9, Brandon Jones starting all the way in the back. You know, he's fighting for second right now. So it's always interesting to see how cars refire after they've run 25 or so laps on them, have a restart, tires are heat cycled. The 16 is having some issues here. He's slowing way down. He might have a problem of a tire unwinding or something and trying to nurse it to the end. But yeah, the 21 and the 9 and even the 10. I mean, Kyle Busch, he's got some speed here too, and just shows you how it can change up when you have a heat cycle on older stuff.
16 going in the wrong direction. What's up, Regan?
Had him some concern. A few laps ago, he thought that he had a vibration. He just said he thinks the right front might be flat. The team told him, though, the right front is still up.
Yeah, good news is 3 laps to go on the stage, so just try to hang on to it here, but he's going to lose another spot. 98 was gaining ground. Crossover move. Sam Mayer 2 for 1. He's in the top 5.
Yeah, we're back to that tire vibration issue and those mental battles as the driver. And I wish I could tell you why, but Vegas is just one of those places that creates those vibrations like no other place. But
and there's a spin. It's the 45 of Raja Caruth. It picked up the free pass earlier, so that's going to end our second stage. 1 to go this time around for Austin Hill. He'll end up getting the stage victory. Caruth hangs on to it. It's our 4th caution of the afternoon, and as I said, that will serve as the ending to stage number 2.
Oh, he's already loose right here. Gosh, that was weird. You know, he was loose before we even played the video and turning off into turn 1. You know, he was already having his hands full. He did a great job of keeping it off the wall and staying on the lead lap at the same time.
How big is that for Chandler Smith, who had fallen to 6th, was likely going to lose more positions before the end of the stage, and now he can ride around under caution and pick up a solid top 10 and get some more stage points. And this is what we were watching. I mean, you can tell how far off Chandler is here because Herbst just is on top of him.
yeah, and he actually hit him. You know, Riley got into the back of him. I think he caught him faster than he thought he was going to catch him, and then Chandler was mad because he hit him in the back, and he's already hanging onto his car, and Sammy Smith passes them both.
Look at this top 10 as we come to the green and white checkered flag. Austin Hill wins it, going to be his 2nd stage win of the year, also won at Daytona. Brandon Jones 2nd, then Kyle Busch. After that, though, teenager Sam Mayer, teenager Sammy Smith, teenager Chandler Smith. I mean, youth is served in Las Vegas. All these drivers picking up some much-needed stage points. Riley Herbst, Cole Custer, Brett Moffitt, Sheldon Creed complete your top 10. But it's Creed's teammate who delivered in our 2nd stage. Austin Hill, the Daytona winners, got him a stage win in Las Vegas. We talked on the way to break about the youngsters getting it done in stage 2. A couple of teenagers and a 20-year-old finishing inside the top 6. Talking about Mayer, Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith. So let's look at those teenagers. You got Sammy, you got Sam Mayer, Parker Retzloff. All of them doing great things early this year. I mean, Sammy Smith leading laps last week. Second place finish for Sam Mayer in California. Parker Retzloff career best at Daytona. And that takes us back to when we were teenagers.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't find a picture of me in my racing suit. I mean, we went straight to the wrestling picture.
Kevin, I like how you were pushing your biceps up in that.
I mean, when you don't have big biceps,
yeah,
you
had
gotta
the
try to
squeeze going.
I was all of probably 112 pounds.
Really? That was your weight class when
I
you were
think I was
wrestling?
103. I think I was 98. 103, 112, 130, I think is what it was. So
nice.
I was a little guy.
What's the quickest you ever pinned someone?
Pretty quick. I don't remember the exact time. Yeah. I had this hip toss that I wasn't very good at wrestling, but I had this hip toss where I could just throw them on their side and choke them.
Hey, little known fact.
Want me to show you?
I was the no, thank you.
Okay.
I think I've seen it before in the garage actually a couple times. Pit stops underway. Josh, here they are.
And let's start with the 9 of Brandon Jones. Been really good here, still searching for that first win. Quietly moved his way up to second. He's been really good, feels good about the back of that car today, but he's a little tight through the center. They're going to make an adjustment to help him out. As far as the 10 of Kyle Busch, ongoing process of getting that car where they need it. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment to see if they can set him up for this final stage, Regan.
Sammy Smith in the 18 car fires off, runs good, but needs help on the exit as the run goes on. That's the biggest issue for that car. What he wants them to fix, the 21 car of Austin Hill. That race car has been good all day long, especially on that most recent restart. He loved how it was on the old tires. A little too much chatter when he moves up the racetrack, though.
You know, we're going to have at least one more pit stop. Could be under green. We'll see how the cautions fall. But that #1 pit stall could be enormous toward the end of this race. Austin Hill wins the battle off, +1 for Kyle Busch. Not sure, you know, Josh Berry there, +21. No tires, so I guess they're just, you know, saving a set here and trying to gain track position. Is that?
Well, so he put stickers on when he spun.
Right.
And then he just rode around.
Yeah, okay, there
towards
you
the
go.
end of that stage. So they just took gas to try to get that track position back. So he has a handful of laps on his tires, but he just rode around at, you know, half speed. So
Caution helped him.
Yeah,
yes.
I
Saved
like
a couple
that.
laps.
Great call by crew chief Taylor Moyer, and a good finish to the stage for his teammate Brandon Jones, who's come from the back. The 9 looked good there.
Yeah,
Let's talk to him.
He sure did. Hey, Brandon Jones, Kevin Harvick, Adam Alexander, Ryan Blaney up in the booth. You got me.
Go to channel 2. Ryan, go to channel 2. We had to go to channel 2. We're off of channel 1.
Hey, Brandon Jones, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Adam Alexander up in the Fox booth. You got me?
Gotcha, buddy. What's going on?
Man, well, you put on a really good show coming all the way from the back. Had a little bit of issues on pit road before the race, but that Menards car is looking really good. Tell us a little bit what you're thinking.
We are ripping for sure, man. It's been fun. Enjoyed driving this Chevy Camaro to the front here today. Got some guests from Geldwin, so that's pretty cool. Putting on a show for those guys. And just need to finish, man. We've been really fast these first 2 races. Haven't been able to finish and show it. So hopefully today's the turnaround point for that. And we got a Chevy that can win the race.
All right, sounds good. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Best of luck to you.
Appreciate it, brother.
5 career wins for Brandon Jones, 2 of them on 1.5 miles. It's a great day in Las Vegas. It's windy, but these kids don't know the difference. They're just having a good time. Final stage on the way.
You can go wide open on the straightaways, obviously, but then just lift a little early for the corners and feel it out, you know what I mean?
8 years, he'll be 16 and he'll be eligible to race in trucks. Is there a thought of you guys maybe racing against each other?
Maybe not against each other, more with each other.
Looking forward to that tomorrow, race day. All begins here on FS1, 2 Eastern time, then over to Fox at 3.
Couldn't disagree more. Keelan's a trash talker, so maybe Brexton is not a trash talker. I told Keelan I'm going to enter you in the hardest late model stock race I can find, and I'm going to lap you twice. That's going to be his first late model stock race.
Why am I not surprised? Hey,
total competition.
Couple of stories to pay off here. Chandler Smith did have a loose wheel. We confirmed that with the pit stop. Same for John Hunter Nemechek, who came earlier when they had to come under caution because we knew he was fighting it. 2 penalties. Jeremy Clements and Ryan Sieg both had infractions under that last cycle of stops, so they will drop to the rear. And Austin Hill here takes the inside lane.
That will be interesting as we get to turn 1. Kudos to those drivers for calling those loose wheels.
Yeah,
definitely probably saves their sanity too.
Yes,
of knowing that it was actually loose.
Watch Josh Berry outside second row on those older tires, and Justin Allgaier after the penalty coming from 18th here.
Door up top, 1 lane between. Pulling down to you, half lane between quarter. 2 back, 16 your lane. 10 to be rolling back to you, 1 back.
Chandler Smith, look at him right there in their hip pocket in the 16.
Yeah, and if Chandler Smith is behind you on these restarts, if you're his spotter, they have to tell you that he is going 3 wide on the restarts down the front straightaway. You're going to have to get more defensive if he's behind you.
Kyle Busch leads this race. The all-time wins leader in the Xfinity Series. Has won 102 times, including a pair of victories here at his home racetrack. Had not competed in this series in 595 days. Went 5 for 5 here in 2021, and boy, it'd be something if he could close the deal this afternoon.
Here comes 21 fighting back. Got to the outside of the 16. 16 kind of followed the 10 in there and got a little tight and had to check up, and the 21 did a great job of getting to the clean air to be able to get to the quarter panel.
Hey, we talked to him, but Brandon Jones has had a really, really nice afternoon.
And they needed that. You know, you heard Brandon talk about the first 2 races and the things that they've had go wrong, but they had fast race cars. There's not a worse feeling in the world when you go to a new team or have a new situation to have the first 2 races go bad, because you feel responsible for it, and you feel like everybody's looking at you like, oh, he's not that good, or this situation's not going to be that good. And then you come out, and today it's just been, so far it's been smooth, and they've run up in the front, and to have that confidence keep building is what he needs.
And his crew chief is Jason Burdett, who, although he hasn't won here with Justin Allgaier, enjoyed all that success over the years when Burdett was calling the shots for that 7 car. So he knows what it's all about. And hey, don't look now, but last week he was strong at the beginning. This week coming on at the end, Cole Custer in the top 10, scored 8.
Chandler Smith back to the lead.
Look at that.
His car fires off the first 5, 6, 7 laps so fast. And they've gotten it better, too, to where he can hang on. And, you know, if it wasn't for that loose wheel on the right front, I thought he could have, you know, won that second stage, but really showing great speed going up there and passing the 10 car.
Yeah, I mean, he's not just racing against some other, you know, teenagers or 20-somethings. I mean, I just said it. Kyle Busch is the best ever in the Xfinity Series, and he's able to drive right by him. Impressive. And Chandler, you know, we talk about these young guys. Sammy Smith's 18. He's still taking classes to finish and get his high school diploma. Chandler's 20. He's married and he's got a kid at home. So, I mean, you talk about opposite ends of the spectrum and maturity rates. He's doing things 40-year-olds are doing.
Up to that top dash. You're still clear by 5.
Just past the halfway point in Las Vegas for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Chandler Smith leading Kyle Busch, Austin Hill, Brandon Jones, and Josh Berry. We'll take it side by side on FS1. We've reached the final stage for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, with Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney. I'm Adam Alexander. 92 laps remaining. Chandler Smith is leading. You know, a story we need to pay off is, you know, Justin Allgaier running in the 8th position, penalized for a restart. He was on the front row, lap 79, had to do the pass-through, didn't lose a lap, but lost a ton of track position. Restarted outside the top 15 to begin this final stage, and here he is in the 8th position. And really, we shouldn't be surprised. Junior Motorsports strong again. They swept the podium here 2 of the last 3 races. And when you look at Allgaier, the veteran out of Illinois, I mean, he's been on a ride dating back to last year. 7 consecutive top 10s, 4 top 5s in that run, 3 consecutive third-place finishes. And by the way, happy anniversary to he and his wife Ashley, who's here today. 17 years ago today, they walked down the aisle. That means Harper's in charge at home, right? So anyway, Sam Mayer trying to get back in the top 5, racing Brandon Jones. There's a couple of team cars for Dale Jr.
Yeah, and going back to Justin Allgaier, you know, and I think the one thing about him is he's been around this so long and just putting his head back down and getting back to the front. But I really like the way that he can keep his car low right there. And I think he's being patient, and he's just placing his car in the right spot. He's not getting up the racetrack. He's just taking his time and being very methodical about one car at a time and make sure I'm putting the car in the right spot so I don't burn my tires up.
4th to 7th on the scoreboard, Junior Motorsports Chevrolets. And hey, there's a streak on the line for them. They've won 5 consecutive races at mile and a halves going back to last year. Conventional mile and a halves, right? Because we don't include Atlanta anymore because it's, you know, become a speedway.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it right there. Kevin just talked about it when he made the pass the previous lap on the 98. He's just wrapping the line and getting under the rubber. You know, you see kind of a darker patch, a streak of rubber off of 4, and that's stuff slick. You know, if you miss it and wash up a little bit, you're really in trouble. And you saw the 9 miss the bottom, and the 7 is just being really patient and able to wrap the line.
Back behind them, 9th right now, Toyota on board. This is Sammy Smith.
When you're running up here, you just got to cowboy up and go get it, man. Got to want it a little more than they do. If you run the bottom down here and you miss the line, they're going to pass you every time. Murdering the line. Attaboy. Right with them right there with dirty air. Better.
Cowboy up.
I don't know. Right at the top. Could be bad for the right side of the car.
And there goes his teammate to the inside. You know, it had been a little bit of a slow return to the front for John Hunter Nemechek after he, you know, had that tire issue. But man, here he comes now, back up to 9th. Hemrick trying to make up some ground in that low lane.
Well, let's just back up a little bit there on that comment to Sammy Smith. And we saw him running the top. We heard about him talking about murdering the line, and that's what we've been talking about on the bottom. But the process of going around the top is trying to get the car in the right place so that you can go in as far as you can without pushing the front tires or getting loose, and being able to go back into the throttle as much as you can to the center of the corner and hopefully either just breathe it so that the car rotates and put it right back down. So if you can't do those things running the top, you're wasting your time. But you have to fill it out a few laps in a row in order to get your rhythm down, because it is hard to get a rhythm.
Yeah, you know, if you go up there 1 lap, 2 laps, and it's not the best and you bail on it, you know, you need to run more than that to kind of get your flow down, like Kevin said, because it's drastically different than running the bottom. Your throttle inputs, where you lift and brake and all that. So, you know, I don't know, maybe he was just trying something a little bit. You see him he's still running the wall, but opposite of what Justin Allgaier is doing, and that's been just, as the spotter put it, murdering the line the whole race, and it's been, you know, paying off for him.
And hey, speaking of Allgaier, I mean, I don't know that I've ever said about him that he's driving angry, but he definitely was disappointed after the penalty. And when you look at the results, it's hard to ignore that maybe there's some added motivation. I mean, he's back in the top 5, and he's done it pretty quickly.
Well, the one thing about running the line down there is you drive the car to the line, you set the car, and as soon as it gets to the line, you go back to partial throttle, and you try to shove that car around the corner as far as you can with as much partial throttle as you can to keep it low. And like Ryan was saying earlier, the part where these guys are making time is they're able to keep their car below the rubber and also keep air on that left front fender in order to help keep that car turning.
Cole Custer started out back today, didn't make a ton of progress early. At one point worked his way to the top 10, now 13th, racing Sheldon Creed.
Here, half, in line, still in line.
You know, just in front of Custer, Parker Kligerman. And if you weren't with us early, a couple of laps in, you know, some contact with John Hunter Nemechek. He goes for a spin, has to make a pit stop, but he stayed with it. And Patrick Donahue, as crew chief, told me our focus is just making sure we finish where we need to finish. And he had a top 10 last week and knocking on the door, doing it again here today. Chandler Smith in charge in Las Vegas. He's led 41 laps. He's out in front of teammate Kyle Busch, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, the top 5. Everybody going to have to pit one more time. .75 laps to go. NASCAR Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. In the midst of a long green flag run here in the final stage, Chandler Smith in front of Kyle Busch, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier continue to be the top 5. And this, you know, it's crazy to me, and I feel like we see this every year here. First 2 stages, tight quarters, incredible racing, in and around guys for position. You get to the final stage, things start to drift. Guys, as you guys talked about, start moving your line around as the track changes, and then eventually you got to start getting your mind around green flag pit stops that'll be happening in the next 20, 25 laps.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Kyle's moved up to running pretty much the wall both ends. He hasn't been able to run as high in 1 and 2, but you know, it's starting to eat away a little bit at the 16's lead. And it's not a lot. I mean, it's half a tenth, maybe a tenth. So it'd be curious to see, okay, when does the 16 decide to move up and have to do something different? You know, because the second place guy's catching you, he's doing something different. Spotter's got to relay that, and you have to understand that there comes a time you need to do it. And if he's going to do it, it probably should be now, because much longer. The 18, or I keep saying the 18, but Kyle Busch is going to be
old habits
all
die
over
hard.
his back bumper.
Well, they both better figure something out because Justin Allgaier is coming.
Yeah, he's gotten by Mayer, yeah.
Finally got around Sam Mayer and has put down some great lap times the last couple laps.
I mean, he's only 2.5 seconds back. And in a perfect world, I mean, for Allgaier, you probably want the caution, tighten everything up, and maybe gain some ground on pit road. But even if you don't get it through a cycle of green flag pit stops, maybe short pit a little bit here, he could really find himself right back in the mix. You know, you're talking about Chandler Smith and needing to move around and paying attention to what Kyle's doing. But he's so young, and very few long green flag runs like this in his history because of all the time in the Craftsman Truck Series where you just don't see this. How much are you coaching him instead of him asking, what's he doing behind me? Are you telling him, hey, you got to think about moving up, or here's where he's gaining? What do you do if you're on the spotter stand or you're his crew chief in this situation?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with his preparation and the things that go into how he gets ready for a race.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, he moved up and wanted to during the middle, and he's actually gapped Kyle a little bit here, so, and he stayed patient on the bottom of 3 and 4. So while Kyle what he was doing was closing in on Chandler for a little bit, there's two sides to run the top. It can get you speed, but it also wears your stuff out a little bit more than running the bottom. So now it's gotten to where Chandler's pulled away from Kyle. Kyle's starting to struggle a little bit. So it's a good thing he didn't change his line. Just by a little bit wanted to run the middle, and I think that's got him to where he's been able to, be able to be faster than Kyle.
Parker Kligerman, they'll save off the corner after some contact. It's not right off Austin Hill. I mean, you talk about Chandler Smith regaining his momentum, starting to put a gap on Kyle Busch. Austin Hill taking advantage of the 10 as he drops to the inside and trying to pick up second with 70 to go. And he's got it.
Yeah, Kyle might have wore his stuff up out there running the top. You have to run more throttle, more steering wheel. You're just kind of beating up your stuff. And like I said, it might have just went away for him. It showed speed for a while, and he might have just burned his right front off of it.
The one thing to keep in mind as you look at those top three and Chandler Smith working the lap traffic here is, there's an alliance there with Colleague and RCR. So I don't say they're teammates, but there's a lot of commonalities between those vehicles running in the top three, and then teammates right behind him, Allgaier, Mayer, and Berry, although Allgaier now going to jump up to third inside of Kyle Busch, and Allgaier is now only 2 seconds behind the race leader. Man, he is getting after it in this final stage. Talk about the win today. Here's our race leader, Chandler Smith, on the radio.
I'm going to try to build up a decent lead here. 10-4 goes a 14 to his 50 out back. He's starting to back up. Keep me updated about the win. You can't run bottom of 3 and 4 when it's just. Copy that.
He might only be 20 years old, but that's a very veteran thing to say, is keep me updated on the wind. I know it's gusting. I've missed the bottom there a couple times. Why is that? Okay, the wind's gusting more, so keep me updated on that as a driver so I know how to change my line around, or not even maybe change your line around, just know what to expect. Maybe back up turn 3 a little bit to make sure you don't miss the bottom. So that was a very, very veteran thought that Chandler Smith had.
He might have veteran thoughts, but I was talking to him in the garage yesterday, and he couldn't be more of a kid. I mean, just bouncing around off the walls, excited about what's going to happen. And I mean, you see it in the race car. I mean, we talked about him on these restarts, how aggressive he is. Refreshing is Chandler Smith. And today and last week, backing up everything we saw success-wise over in the Craftsman Truck Series the last couple of years as Kyle Busch continues to drip back a little bit here. Almost wonder if he's not, nursing a little something with that car and just trying to get to the window to make that green flag pit stop. And we're within 5-6 laps of being in the window to pit and go the distance, and probably 10 or 12 laps, I would guess, before, in a perfect scenario, they would want to come down as Allgaier looks at Hill for second.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial for Allgaier to get by Austin Hill, and it looks like he's going to have a good run off 4 here to get to the inside of him. And doing the patent thing he's done all day, right? I mean, just wrapping the line. My car can wrap the line longer than yours, and I'm going to make you pay for it. And now that he's gotten to second, He's got, a little bit of clean track before he gets to some lap cars, to try to see what he has. Okay, you got some fresh air on your nose now. Now let's see what you can do to cut into the gap of the 16.
What's going on with Kyle Busch right now, Josh?
Yeah, you talk about some struggles we're seeing from Kyle Busch. He came over the radio, said he's just tight through the center at 3 and 4, and he's starting to lose the bottom on both ends, which is why you've seen him fall back a little bit from the front.
Yeah, 5th right now. Sam Mayer able to get by him in a 1. We talk about Chandler Smith. Got to give a call to another young guy in Sam Mayer. He is really matured. I mean, he starts Daytona and going for the win and ends up upside down, finishes outside the top 20, bounces back last week. No practice at California, matches his career best 2nd, and answering the bell again this afternoon.
He's definitely done a great job, and I think the progression that he has made from last year and what the start of this year is really, really promising. So I'll be excited to see where Sam Mayer can go through this whole season, because I think he's going to be contending for wins and potentially a championship.
39 laps since the restart to begin the final stage. Allgaier 18th to 2nd after that penalty on the restart at lap 79. That's just incredible what the 7's doing here. And oh, by the way, he's never won here. Three runner-ups. And you can see where everybody is since they last pitted. And they need to get probably another 4 or 5 laps. I mean, really a couple of laps and they'll be inside their window. But 4 or 5 will ensure that you would have enough probably to go the distance, even with some overtime here. And the window is open. Green flag pit stops underway. The first to give it up, not really surprisingly, is going to be Kyle Busch. In fact, we haven't seen him pull off yet, but we have heard that this will be the time for him. And
yeah, he's coming.
He's going to come down.
Yeah, and if you're Kyle, you're falling back, you're struggling, and gosh, he was aggressive coming to pit road there. So we'll see what they can do. Josh?
Yeah, Kyle Busch just came over the radio before he came into pit saying he's getting really, really tight, especially towards the end of that run. So they need a little something to help him out.
By being the first to pit, getting those fresh tires first, what can that do for you here?
Yeah, you're going to drag him. The leader's coming. Chandler Smith's coming to pit road. Allgaier stays out. So you'll see that a lot. The first guy to pit in the top 5 or so might drag other guys in.
Let's get Smith on Smith, Regan on Chandler, the leader coming your way.
Adam Chandler Smith, it feels like that team has been doing a great job all day long keeping up with the racetrack. That's one thing he's been very pleased with this run. Quiet on the radio. He's told to focus on looking out front and worrying about what he needed to do there. He has been quiet since then.
All right, keeping in mind, Kyle Busch was 6 seconds behind Chandler Smith when he came to pit road. So we'll see how all of this cycles out. And 1 lap later, here comes Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Ryan Sieg also in that mix, making a pit stop scheduled under green, Regan.
Justin Allgaier, that race car is just loose in tight in the center and loose off right now. He's been doing a great job all day of conserving tires and telling the team that he was conserving tires to have a little speed at the end of runs. Needs to continue doing that. And Austin Hill in the 21, too loose on the throttle. That's the first time he's mentioned that all day long, meaning the back wants to step out when he gets on the gas pedal to exit the corners.
Allgaier was 1.6 seconds behind Chandler Smith when they cycled to pit road. We'll continue to follow the progress there. More green flag pit stops, Josh.
Yep, and the one of Sam Mayer is coming in. He said that car is pretty good, just a little snug on the bottom, so they give him 4 tires, fuel, and make a track bar adjustment.
And just behind him, Sammy Smith sideways coming in. This is a young driver making a green flag pit stop, inexperienced.
Yeah, really lucky that he got it stopped before he got to the 1 box, because they were full over the wall doing their stop. Really lucky that nothing happened there.
More pit stops, Regan.
Adam, the 98er, Riley Herbst. That race car was tight early on in the day. They've worked on it all day long. It continues to get better to the point now where it's the best it's been all day long. Really likes the long run speed. Josh?
Yeah, the 8 of Josh Berry coming in. He said he feels pretty good about that car. Not sure about the balance. He said he just needs some tires when he does come in, guys.
You know, we talk about green flag cycles and who's going to get to pit road well, who's going to have good pit stops. We've seen the first stall be an advantage today, and it paid off for Austin Hill. He's actually going to cycle in front of the 16, not by much, but they closed the gap and surpassed him, which is huge for, you know, for the 21 group.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Hill, a driver that's won here twice in the Craftsman Truck Series, and I mean, so much experience for him, and you got to believe experience matters. And you talk about location on the pit lane, and we got a report Sammy Smith has been penalized. I'm assuming he was probably too fast entering, right? I mean, it was a penalty. I didn't get a call on exactly what the penalty was, but Sammy Smith will have the pass-through penalty here as Josh Berry makes his stop. So we're looking at the scoring pylon. Anthony Alfredo yet to come down and get his service, and then it will all cycle through to Austin Hill as the new race leader with 55 laps to go. Brett Moffitt in the 25. Talk about being aggressive coming in. Watch Josh Berry.
Oof. He did a really good job of getting it wound up, and this is a tough pit road to get on. You know, your stuff is worn out. You know the wind's pushing you off of 4, and you're trying to push it as far as you can, you know, until you get on the brakes. And he did a good job of getting it slowed down. But this is going to be a heck of a race. But Chandler Smith just went up and got by the 21.
Yeah, he did. Chandler Smith lost the lead in a cycle of green flag pit stops, but he has been able to get back by Austin Hill. The 16 is back on point.
He made that look easy, too. I mean, he was maybe just under a second behind the 21 when they cycled, and he just drove up and straight past Austin Hill. So we've seen good fire-off speed on the 16 all day, and it seems to carry over to the green flag stops. But Kyle Busch cut it down. He's just over 2 seconds behind. Allgaier lost a little bit of ground, but we'll see where this long road goes. Still a long ways to go, 53 laps to the end. If it runs green, that's a long time on your tires. So tire management is still very important.
Brandon Jones scored 11th, but he was penalized speeding on pit road during his green flag cycle, so he will have to make a pass through. 52 laps remaining. Everybody can go the distance on fuel. Most should have at least one set of tires should we get a late caution. So we might not be done with pit stops. And Chandler Smith has a slight advantage over Austin Hill. Kyle Busch a couple of seconds back. 3 seconds in arrears is Allgaier. Sam Mayer completes the top 5 as we go back and watch Chandler Smith running down Austin Hill.
Yeah, Austin Hill was in a little bit of traffic, so he had to run the second lane. It looks like he got really loose right in the center, and it just opened the door for the 16. Made it pretty easy.
Here's Austin Hill radio.
Just like every other restart, just won't fire. We got plenty of time to get them. Do not burn up those rears. The next one behind us for position is 30 car lengths back with 4 cars between us.
You know, and Austin Hill says his car won't fire, right? So it doesn't fire off well on new tires. And, you know, it's different from a green flag stop to a stop after a caution or a restart, you know, because usually your air pressures are a little bit lower on the yellow flag stops, but you have a couple of pace laps to work them in and kind of get the pressures up. And green flag stops, you're going right away, right? You're supposed to be up to full speed. So having lower pressures, maybe it makes it harder to kind of get going. And we saw the 21 kind of struggle to fire off for the first handful of laps. It seems to kind of stabilize right now. So we'll see if they're running lower pressures, if that pays off for them in the long run.
More bad news for Brandon Jones. When he did his pass through on the speeding penalty, he was caught speeding again. Chandler Smith leading, 49 to go in Las Vegas. Getting down to it in Las Vegas for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 44 laps to go. We just completed a cycle of green flag pit stops. And you see where drivers were before the cycle and where they are now. You know, biggest exchange, Chandler Smith continues to lead, but Justin Allgaier, who was so good late in that last run, has dropped to 4th after the cycle. Sam Mayer from 5th to 4th. Let's hear from the 7 team here talking about that last set of pit stops.
If we're short, are they short, or did we not get it full? No, it's on me. I pitted you a little too early. I should have ran you deeper. Right now we're at a half a lap.
Okay, so this makes sense why he doesn't have the pace, right? He's into save mode. He probably saved early to where he could go hard at the end of a run.
Yeah, and I think the best way to do that is probably in the position that he's in. Partial throttle. Usually what you try to do is you try to go through the corners as fast as you can. Try to go full speed through the corners, and then after you get to the exit of the corner, then you try to come back and bleed the throttle back to like 70% down the straightaway. And you do that for whatever the engineers are telling you that you need to do that amount of save for the amount of laps that you save for in order to save the gas that you need if they're that close.
I mean, he's obviously faster than Kyle Busch, and he's going to get 3rd here. The problem, though, at 4.5 seconds behind the leader, if you don't get a caution, I mean, you've given up more than 2 seconds over where you were in relation to Chandler Smith prior to the cycle of stops. So I'm not going to say he has to have a caution because we have seen him turn it up over the course of the long run today, but it will be difficult with 41 to go.
You know, it will be, and there's two ways to approach that. You know, they said he was a half lap short, so then you have a decision to make. Okay, do I save now, you know, early in this run? You lose track to the leader, but then maybe you can go hard at the end of the race to see if you can make some late race charge, or do you just go hard, you know, and hope you get a caution? If you don't, and if you don't with maybe 10 to go, then you start saving, you know. So there's kind of 2 ways to approach it. I've been on both sides of it, and I don't know which one is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You're kind of hurting, you know, no matter what, but that's what they decided to do.
Chandler Smith working through lap traffic. Sometimes it's easier than others, and here, coming up on him, and maybe loses his focus. Watch what happens here as he runs up on these guys. Woo! I guess we missed it. All right. I got a little excited. That's what happens when you haven't seen it. You try to talk about it, and then boom, swing and a miss.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, Reddick in the 24 and Clements in the 51. Reddick had a big run up top and did a big kind of top to bottom swing when he realized there was not going to be a lane up top and cut it extremely close. That was almost a really big one.
Well, hey, but for Reddick, I mean, this is big because he's the final car on the lead lap, 13th right now. So he's going to do everything he can to stay in front of Chandler Smith here. And does that hold up the 16 and open the door for Austin Hill, maybe even Justin Allgaier to gain a little ground?
Well, the good thing about everything that's happening is this right here. He's running the top of the racetrack and Chandler's running the bottom, so Chandler can get some clean air in his car. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit give and take in 1 and 2. Just try to maintain your distance, make up your ground in 3 and 4. Pick and choose where you can make up that ground. So just be patient, put your car into clean air, and just let it come to you.
37 laps to go. Let's take a quick 30-second commercial break. We'll come right back for the finish. It's been a wild afternoon in Las Vegas. This is Sammy Smith. It's been a great weekend for racing here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Last night, round 2 in 2023 for the Craftsman Truck Series. Kyle Busch able to get the victory. Tomorrow, 3rd race of the year for the Cup cars. And today, it's all about the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Racing at Las Vegas for the 32nd time. And it's the young 20-year-old out of Georgia, Chandler Smith, who leads. In fact, he's been dominant. Out front for 80 2 laps and in charge with 35 to go. And he has a 2.5-second advantage over second place Austin Hill, and still trying to get around Tyler Reddick and put him a lap down.
Yeah, and I think it gets worse as he gets closer, right? And Reddick starts to run his line and where he wants to be. See a big piece of trash up in the top of turn 1 up there. Looked like a trash bag.
I think the 16 will get it done here. He got a good run off of 2. I think he'll be able to clear Tyler. Tyler's going to try hard. I mean, right, he wants to stay on the lead lap, but the 16 finally got by him without too much damage. You know, Allgaier didn't close on him too much. The 21 didn't at all, so he did a good job there being patient.
You know, you think about the day for Chandler Smith. Goes out yesterday, wins the pole, and we all felt like it's going to be hard to maintain that track position. He did. Then he had the debris on the grill. Thought he was overheating. At one point, we got a report he might be blowing up, but they battle through all of that. In fact, he had that caution. If you go back, he had that loose wheel at the end of stage 2, and he might have fallen outside the top 10, maybe lost a lap, had to make an unscheduled stop. Caution comes out to end the stage so they can ease out of the throttle and make their pit stop under caution. And then we have a cycle of green flag pit stops. Not easy to execute. He doesn't have the most experience in that category. But once again, he delivers.
Yeah, and the one thing that sticks out to me, I think for me sitting up here today, I'm kind of judging Kaulig on their cars from last year. I felt like AJ did a great job of getting them great finishes, but they just didn't always have the speed and things that they needed last year. These are different race cars. These Kaulig race cars right now, that Chandler Smith is doing a great job, but I always tell everybody, you can't drive a slow car fast. And that car is fast. Chandler's doing a great job with it, but Kaulig has done a great job in turning their program up, and you know the performance on the racetrack is showing.
But you think about ownership in NASCAR right now. And a handful of years ago, you know, we kind of said, where are all the owners going to come from? And you look at the new owners and the various dynamics, you know, what Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are doing, and the success at Trackhouse with Justin Marks and Pitbull and Brad Keselowski and his involvement now at RFK. And then I look at Matt Kaulig. I mean, totally non-traditional, a businessman that comes in and starts with a part-time Xfinity operation. And how many times have we seen that? And it's a flash in the pan, and it doesn't work.
He loves it.
And he's doing unbelievable and growing it from the ground up. It's been impressive what they've done.
Yeah, Matt Kaulig loves racing, and he loves to win. The only thing I don't like about Matt Kaulig is every time I see him, I know I have to walk up to him, and he's got this big ring on. And he wants to shove it right into your fist as hard as he can every time you see him to say hello.
Well, yeah, he was a college football player, so college athlete, and turned a successful business into a wonderful racing operation. Chris Rice has worked really hard to lead the bunch, and here they are today in position for another victory. Got 12 cars on the lead lap. Reddick went a lap down. He was 13th. Last car now scored on the lead lap is Parker Kligerman. Second place, Austin Hill. Won the season opener at Daytona. 6th last week in Fontana. And in line for his best Vegas run today. You got Justin Allgaier back there in 3rd. It feels like this is how the race should finish, because if he finished 3rd today, it would be the 4th consecutive race where he came home at the bottom of the podium. That's incredible. Kyle Busch trying to sweep the weekend. Won last night in the truck race, making his return to the Xfinity Series. 2 wins here at Vegas. Hometown boy is 4th, driving for Kaulig for the first time. Going to run that car 5 times this year.
Well, Sam Mayer's putting together another fantastic run. You know, he's been really consistent. You know, you said it at the start of the show, was really close to the win at Daytona and ended up on his lid, and you know, had a great run last week at Fontana, running 2nd, putting together another good run today.
You know, we felt like there'd be a lot of focus on Josh Berry this weekend because he's won here twice in the Xfinity Series. Little did we know, and in case you haven't heard, Chase Elliott broke his tibia snowboarding in Colorado yesterday. Had surgery last night. He's going to be out an indefinite amount of time. It's going to be Josh Berry who drives the 9 car this weekend for Hendrick Motorsports. So Josh Berry has had some added attention. Behind him on track in 7th, Riley Herbst. Hometown driver looking for his 3rd consecutive top 10 to begin the season. John Hunter Nemechek, successful afternoon. Won the opening stage, had a loose wheel that cost him some track position, but he's looking at another top 10 and 8th. Sheldon Creed, 7th last year, 9th right now. Would be his first top 10 of the season. Second-year driver out of California, piloting the 2-car for Richard Childress Racing. And rounding out the top 10, Daniel Hemrick. Statistically, this is one of his better tracks. Got the South Point colors on board this weekend. The Gaughan family does such a good job of taking care of the NASCAR community when we come out here to Las Vegas. 24 to go. We'll step aside. The finish coming in Vegas. Chandler Smith trying to finish the deal and get his first career victory. Closing on the end for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here in Las Vegas, part 2 of our West Coast swing. Last Sunday evening, we were rain delayed in Fontana, California. John Hunter Nemechek was able to win for the 3rd time in his career. But one of the great storylines to come out of that race is rookie driver Chandler Smith, who got a career-best 4th place finish at a very difficult track that he had never seen before last weekend. In fact, was able to get a top 5 with no practice, no qualifying. The momentum carried over. Comes here to Las Vegas, wins the pole, and is dominating this race. 2 more laps led will put him at the century mark. The question becomes, can he finish the deal? And the last thing he wants to see here is a caution with 19 remaining.
Well, they're going to go a long ways on this run of tires. So the cars are going to be difficult to drive. We see a lot of guys running up the fence, and it just has that feel of green flag, and if it's going to be a caution, it'll be late.
John Hunter Nemechek, the win last week, and
that was almost your caution.
Yeah. Racing tight there with Riley Herbst. They're 7th and 8th on track. 78, Anthony Alfredo cuts in behind race leader Chandler Smith. Continues to be 12 cars on the lead lap. Last of those, Parker Kligerman. He's 28 seconds behind the race leader. See the lap times here for Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, he made a little bit of ground. He and Austin Hill made a little bit of ground on the 16. He was Chandler was stuck in a little bit of lap traffic and took him a couple laps and lost, half a second or so. But he's been able to pick it up, and he was 0.2 quicker than those guys this past lap. So once he got clear, and he still has a lot of lap traffic in front of him, but I think he can kind of go whenever he wants. He definitely has the pace. It's just a matter of maintaining your gap, right? If you can maintain a 2-second gap, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I said lap time. That was obviously the interval to the leader. Here's what they're saying on 7 radio.
Definitely time to go.
It's just hard right here because pushing it harder doesn't necessarily equate to more speed.
10-4, then save me fuel and keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, I would say, though, 4.5 seconds. So now here we are at, under 3. So he's knocking it down a little bit here.
Yeah, and a lot of times the team has to know. Tell me what you're doing. I mean, how are you doing on saving gas? Where are you at? Are you wide open? And what's the risk versus reward? Should I oversave in order to make sure I finish 3rd instead of 23rd?
Lap traffic for Chandler Smith.
He's got a lot of lap traffic in front of him.
Yep.
I mean, there's 4 lap cars in front of him. They're kind of running every lane. One's running the wall, one running the middle, the bottom. So he's got a little bit of work cut out for him here. But luckily, he's got a decent cushion to where he can still take his time and be able to pick through these guys.
13 laps to go. Hey, add to all that the pressure of trying to win for the first time at this level. I mean, it's hard to put a price tag on how someone this young can handle the big stage.
There really hasn't seemed to be much to bother him today, though.
You're right.
The restarts, Kyle Busch, whoever it was, he just went 3 wide and made it happen. So, this kid's doing a great job.
Chandler Smith, 20 years old, from Talking Rock, Georgia. Began racing go-karts at age 4. Won a Bandolero championship before moving to late models. In his 4th ever start, he won an ARCA race at age 16. Said, I'm ready to go racing in the Craftsman Truck Series. Partnered up with Kyle Busch, where he won 5 times the last couple of years, including a victory here at Las Vegas 1 year ago. And there's the man that feels like today he's got the master plan. Matt Collig, the car owner who signed Chandler Smith and could be seeing the fruits of his labor in his 3rd career start as a full-time driver. 11 laps remaining this time by.
Well, think about Chandler Smith. I mean, Chandler Smith was a Toyota truck guy. And those guys, Matt Collig and his team reached out and said, hey, we're going to go grab this guy and we're going to put him in our car. And that's a gutsy move, to go out and take a chance like that. But obviously they had some insight and confidence in what Chandler could do in the car, and Chandler is showcasing exactly what he can do today.
Mentioned the fact that he won here last year in the Craftsman Truck Series. And it wasn't easy then either. He was racing with his teammates up front, among them the boss man Kyle Busch. You talk about the Toyota connection and what he was able to do the last couple of years. I mean, that win here last March was incredible for Chandler Smith. Here's a look back. He's racing with Kyle, racing with Zane Smith, who went on to win the championship. Good stuff. John Hunter Nemechek was up there.
The lead's down to under a second. Chandler had a tough time passing Sieg, and Sieg was kind of in his lane. So we'll see here. But now Austin Hill and Allgaier have to pass Sieg. So it's difficult on those guys too. So we'll see. I think he'll be able to stretch it out just a little bit here once he's finally got clear. But probably a little bit closer for comfort, to be honest with you.
8 laps to go. The advantage 1.03 seconds, and ticking in the wrong direction if you're Chandler Smith.
Yeah, we'll have to see this lap. The last lap was in line with the lap time wise with the 2 cars behind him, and now that he's able to get clear track, we'll see what the lap time is as he comes by here. But a lot of times, he's been on the bottom most of the day, and when you're on the bottom and you creep in on on a lap car and it takes the air off the front of the car, it winds up costing you more time because you can't go anywhere else and your car's not versatile, and he's locked into that one spot. But he's in line with the guys behind him. But Justin Allgaier is a 10th and a half faster.
Hill down under a second, and now the question becomes, Allgaier gets by. I mean, that's when it's really going to get fun to watch. But we're running out of time. 6 laps to go here.
Yeah, that's the thing. The 7 is definitely better than the 21. But 21 is running his lane and doing a good job of staying on the bottom of 3 and 4, and is forcing Justin to have to move up, right? Because he has to try something. He has to get the second. If he gets the second, we got a heck of a race on our hands.
You looking in the rear view if you're Chandler Smith, or you looking out the windshield here?
You try not to look at the rear view.
Yeah, you're trying not to.
You are.
You're looking out. Let's hear what Justin Allgaier thinks.
All right, boys, let's get that Jaws music going. Let's go.
I mean, the 21's running down the 16. I thought the 16 was going to be able to kind of stretch it out a little bit more, but Austin Hill is putting on a really good charge too. And Chandler Smith, young kid, going for your first Xfinity win. The nerves are there. You had a 3-second lead. It's down to half a second, just over half a second now. Now it's a matter of, okay, compose yourself, do what you've been doing all day, hit your line, and be able to finish this thing off.
Focus on your marks.
Yeah, that's one thing that I always tell Keelan. How comfortable are you being uncomfortable? And right now is a day where this is a moment. These are moments right now where Chandler Smith he's not comfortable because his car is not handling good. The guys are coming behind you to race for the win with 4 laps to go, trying to get your first Xfinity win. There's a lot to that from a nerve standpoint.
Speaking of nerves, I mean, are you too nervous right now? I've got some butterflies watching this unfold.
I'm excited.
Yes, 3 to go.
3 more.
But it's down. It's going to get inside a half a second here.
It's going to be interesting, as the 21 gets closer, all right, he's going to get more dirty air. So do you move around if you're the 21? You've been chipping away, you're under half a second. Do you move around, because the closer you get, the worse it's going to get dirty air-wise.
That's where it needs to be right there, on that white line, because that's really the best way to protect what you have right now is try to give as little air as possible to that car behind you by not missing the bottom.
How about the fact, 1-2, both drivers from Georgia, they grew up 90 miles from each other. Talking about Chandler Smith and Austin Hill, and Austin Hill is there.
Chandler he's struggling off of 2. He can't hold the bottom. 21 is so fast on the bottom. He's probably going to try to pack air right here. No, he couldn't do it.
Chandler missed the bottom.
Missed the bottom. Yep. Here comes 21.
Trying to run back to your
2 races here. Ended with the last lap pass. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. New leader is Austin Hill.
Wow.
He took the top spot as he took the white flag, and now trying to drive away to his second win of the season. Allgaier gets by for second. Can he run down the 21? Final time through turns 3 and 4. They're painting that white line.
2.
Austin Hill leading. Allgaier's been second here 3 times in his career. He'll be a runner-up again. Austin Hill wins it in Vegas.
My goodness, what a finish. And what a charge by Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier. And you got to feel for Chandler Smith. I mean, just didn't have the pace at the end, and Austin Hill was there to pounce.
Hang in there, man. Great car. Awesome job all day. Good!
What a start to the year for Austin Hill. 2 for 3.
And the one time he didn't win, he finished 6th last week in Fontana.
So we just talked about 1 and 2 with not painting the white line and letting him get air on the front of the car. And he just misses the white line by a foot. And it just allowed Austin hit it perfectly and was able to just hook that line and get a great run off of turn 4.
Well, they said the one thing they needed in that 21 is to get better. They said they needed to get better over the long haul, and he certainly saved his best for last today. Taking the white flag, taking the lead, and racing around to the checkers.